So John Graham wins the 2022 USA Memory Championship, and I ask him, John, please explain to me how during these crazy times you find enough focus and whatever internal things it takes to go to a memory competition and then win the USA Memory Champion again for the second time. I mean, these are crazy times and no one would fault a person for not taking on such a challenge, but you did it. So what's the magic sauce here?
I appreciate that. In addition to that, too, I don't know if you knew this, but a couple days before I left for the championship, I had a family tragedy. Had a family member commit suicide, and I say that to share that, yeah, these are crazy times in the world, in our lives, and everyone's going through something else personally. But I think, the easy answer is I've worked at it my whole life. In the last few years, I should say, of conditioning myself for that focus, for that goal of winning it again. But, the real answer is that I only had one outcome in mind, to win. And even though I'm a father of two now, two girls in diapers, and I had a family tragedy and you got to travel, all these things, I still had my mind set on one thing. And I think that's what's missing these days is people are changing their minds so much and shifting with the world and watching the news and being scared and what's going on that they don't stay singular and focus on what they really want in their life and just
Right.
crystal clear. Nothing gets in the way of that. But I think I find so many times that I hear people allowing things to get in the way, or fear causing them to change their mind or moving to a new direction. And I went through that too. I went through that too a long time ago. But I think if you really want something, you have to set that. And you can't let any family excuse or any world excuse or any news excuse or any shiny object excuse to get in the way of that. So that's my answer to that.
Well, that's amazing. And it sort of begs the question, because I think there's another dimension here. How do you have such certainty that that's the thing that you want?
Mm. You know, a lot of bad advice out there is saying, follow your passion, right? And so I think everyone's looking for their passion. Everyone's looking for what you just said, the certainty in that what is that one thing. And the truth is, I didn't know what that thing was right away, right? Whether it was business or the championships behind me, those trophies behind me, what I did not know those from day one. But
Right.
I started, I stepped into a journey of, okay, I want $1 million. I want a business that makes $1 million, right? Everyone starts that. I want financial freedom. And I took a step and I took another step and it got clearer through the mud as I took those steps, right? So years later, I have extreme certainty, whether it's business or memory championships, of what I wanted because in the example of memory, I picked up a book, Moonwalking with Einstein, and I started reading it. I thought, wow, that's cool. I never said, I'm going to be the next USA memory champion when I read that. I started with an interest. I took a few steps, had a goal of, I want to be a grandmaster. Then that evolved into winning a championship, right? But for anyone out there, like, what is that thing? Follow your interest,
Right.
follow something that you do know, even if it seems crazy to you, right? But start somewhere and move towards that. And the path does not emerge before you start. The path emerges when you start and you pick a destination, no matter what that destination is. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are waiting for lightning to strike or, something to come through in their dreams about what they should do, but it doesn't happen that way. And at least for me, whether it was business or championships, the certainty came from picking something, a carrot, going towards it, and then that evolved into something else. And over time, I have that crystal clear clarity and certainty behind it.
Right. So are you saying having a vision of the first moves is more important than worrying about the end game in some sense, if we can use a chess metaphor?
Yeah, absolutely. You're never going to end up where you initially want to go, I think,
Right.
right? but you won't get anywhere until you pick something and move towards it, right? And so you have to have an aim. I like that word, AIM, an aim. You have to have your mind on something to get anywhere in life, right?
Right.
If you want a promotion, that has to be on your focus. If you want a business, you have to focus on, okay, what is your goal and how many clients do I need to get to that goal, right? You need to have something. Otherwise, if you're looking for the best method, what does that even mean? Best method to do what, right? So I think, just very clearly put, you have to have an aim of where you're going. You can't wait for inspiration to strike before you start. The inspiration happens as you take the steps towards the destination you choose.
Right. Okay, so best method, right? That is a thing that I hear a lot. What's the best way to do X? And memory techniques are, in my mind, a complete experiment, almost in the sense that you're talking about. Rather than worry about the outcome, focus on the experiment, so to speak. Like, you want to memorize Spanish vocabulary or whatever, then what are the conditions of the experiment going to be? Not all zillions of words and possible constructions, but maybe 10 words or something like this. But what is it about the mind? It can't be just the media, because there's thousands of years of fickle brains not focusing on doing the thing. So like, what do you think causes us to be so outcome oriented instead of beginning oriented?
I mean, I'm trying to think of an example here. What comes to mind, I think of, I'm on the front lines every day. I'm talking to entrepreneurs on the phone, as part of my business. And I find a lot of times that the reason people get stuck, the reason people procrastinate or change direction or follow the shiny objects, is because they are not crystal clear on what they want. Even if they are crystal clear on what they want to make $10,000 a month, or they want to win a memory championship. Even if they are, they still have doubt. They still have fears. They still have resistances to things. It's the human condition, right? The reason we pick up the phone and distract ourselves and scroll is because we're feeling something internally we don't like. We are feeling a fear. We are feeling a resistance. An example is, when I first started my business, all I had to do was pick up the phone and call the classified ads. I was in a real estate business. I was trying to find deals. I had to pick up the phone and just have conversations with people. I couldn't do it. Every time I went up to pick up the phone, I would put in the number, but all of a sudden, internally, I would feel a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. What if they say this? What if I don't know what to say? What if I sound like a complete buffoon? And then I put the phone down. And what was going on was, internally, I was feeling a lot of fear, and it's physical. I felt it in my gut. I felt it in my head. It was a rush, right? It's a stress response, right? And so what I would do is I would go to research. Okay, what's the perfect script? What do I say? And then I would get lost in the rabbit holes. And I see that far too often is, even if you know what you should be doing, the exact thing you should be doing, there are still things in the way of that, right? That we don't know how to overcome, right? So I think people get lost in how to overcome something, or the best way, or a script or a plan, instead of figuring out or taking the action to overcome what they need to, or figuring out what it is that they need to believe differently or condition differently to overcome that fear that's in the way. Right. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that's very interesting, I just heard this term today. I mean, maybe I've heard it before, but it seemed totally unique to me, is the idea of time blindness. And the individual was saying, like, I literally cannot remember what to do next. And that seems to me maybe part of the puzzle that a lot of people face, is because without that foundational, so to speak, vision of the starting point relative to some idea of an end goal, then, it's so easy to just forget the next steps. And that's part of that addiction to like the how to and the, cookie cutter menu formulas and so forth. Because we often will forget next steps if we don't even have a sense of what we could remember to do. So I don't know if you have any solutions on that, because I think you're absolutely right. You can't have all the steps laid out for you. You got to shine the light into the darkness yourself. But then at the same time, it's kind of, where is the light going to go and what am I going to find there and how am I going to recognize it in order to actually take action on it? Because there's this needle in the haystack and there's also that one, which is the one.
Or realize where this comes from. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're starting a big project or wanting to be a memory champion or something outside of the realm of being an employee, right? There is no blueprint for some of this stuff. You have to figure out a lot of it on your own, which is scary. This comes from this need for a structure, for a to-do list, for a step-by-step comes from school. Think about it. When you're in school, you have grades. After first grade, you graduate, go to second grade, right? But in between, you have chapters, you have lessons, you have assignments, you have multiple choices that if you do this test, you get this grade, which applies to here. You do this assignment, it goes here. It's very step-by-step. It's very much a teacher gives you something and you do it. And the same applies to working for someone else. You're told what to do. It's very easy. You walk in, here's step 1, step 2, step 3. There's procedures, right? So if you're coming from a background of school and a job, if you jump into entrepreneurship or a big project, you think in your mind that you need a structure. You need a step-by-step best path, best plan. The reality is there isn't one. And so you can research until you're, till your fingers are red online for what the best step-by-step, but it doesn't matter because the moment you follow a step-by-step plan and you take step 1, it's nothing like what you thought it would be. Step 2 is irrelevant because the real world is very different. And so what happens is what happened to me when I started my businesses or my memory journey, I made massive to-do lists. Got to do this website, got to check out this resource, got to look at this, got to do this. And my to-do list was like 50 things long. So every morning when I woke up, I would feel completely overwhelmed because I didn't know where to start. I didn't know which option was first. I was nice and organized in my mind that I needed a website, I needed to call people, I needed to do this. But I shut down because everything seemed equal and urgent. Okay. And I wanted a structure, but the truth is, business is really, really simple. I learned this over the years. It's you find someone you can help. You give them some knowledge, you give them a product, you give them a service, you serve someone. You don't need a website. You don't even need a phone. You don't need a logo. You don't need any of this stuff to start. But I think we all know this. We all know if we could pick up a phone and ask someone if we can mow their lawn, right, we'll have our first client. But we're afraid to do what we really need to do. So we hide behind busy work and structure and to-do lists without taking the action that's needed because there is no guarantee it will work like a school grade, graduation, or working for someone else.
It's funny you mentioned mowing lawns because I don't know that people actually know how to do that. I mowed lawns throughout my university career. I was in graduate school. I was teaching my first university courses and I was still mowing lawns. And one of the ways that I used to get clients was just a simple pamphlet, which was how to hire a good lawnmower. And it would talk about, all these scam companies or whatever that are having 2 people mow your lawn at the same time when actually this is just wasting your resources and having you to worry more about extra thieves that could be scammed, like just all this sort of stuff. So, but I don't know that many people know how to do that. So that's an interesting question in and of itself. But I just have to jump on that lawn mowing thing because I don't even know how I knew how to do that other than my dad told me when I was a little squirt and I wanted something. I don't remember what I wanted. And, I was asking him for the money and he said, you see that guy's door? Go knock on it. Ask him if you can mow his lawn and ask him to give you the amount that you want to buy the thing. And
Yeah.
so I feel that part of maybe where media is ruining a lot of minds is we don't have that kind of direct modeling of just what you said, how simple it actually is.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I think we do know it, but we don't know it necessarily at the scale we used to.
We, I mean, yeah, if you step back and think about how simple it is, like a lawn mowing business, and people listening might think, well, yeah, that's for lawn mowing, but what about if I want to start a digital marketing or, whatever it is, a coaching?
Mm.
And my answer is it's the same thing. If you want to be a coach, first of all, prove that it works by finding someone you can help.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need a website. You don't need a logo. You don't need all this stuff. You need to prove that people want what you're offering. When I was first starting out, I had this dream, no pun intended, for a lucid dreaming supplement. I was big into lucid dreaming. I wanted to start the supplement because I was taking a few supplements that actually triggered these lucid dreams in the early waking hours. And it would have cost me like $9,000 to get all these bottles and to get them drop shipped, whatever, set up. But I was talking to someone and they said, well, John, who had a supplement business. And he said, John, has anyone ever bought this, or is anyone educated enough to know that this is viable? Like, are people looking for this? Is anyone looking for this? So I said, no, not that I know. I mean, I was. He said, John, before you spend $9,000, find someone who wants this and sell it to them. I said, no, people will buy. I was just completely ignorant. I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to do all the research, talk to all the companies, find the lowest price for the bottles, the right configuration. I wanted to spend all this time. But he was right. Why can't I just find one or two people to prove that they would buy it, to get them to buy it, and then go from there? Right. But a lot of us are afraid to do that, because I think when I first started business, I had these ideas for what I thought people wanted. But that's not what business is about. Business is about giving people what they need and what they want, serving others, right? So it's great that you have an idea for a new app or a website or a blog, but do people really want that? Are people asking for that, needing it? Will it help them? And the way you find out is you go out there and find out. You talk to people, you put it out there, you ask for customers, you knock on doors, you make phone calls, you talk to people that you know, right?
Yeah.
But no one does that, right? And we overcomplicate it, and we get lost in all these weeds, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going very direct. And so a lot of what I work with in my clients and myself is just simplicity.
Yeah.
First of all, let's make sure it's viable. Let's make sure it works. And let's make sure you're not overcomplicating your life and your business. Let's just get very direct here.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to get to 10,000 a month in your business without all the messy work.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I see it as the same thing in memory training. There's people who come to me and they say, well, I want to learn Spanish, but I also want to learn how to tango, and I want to learn how to fly a plane, and I want to learn and and it's kind of like, yeah, I want to do all those things too, but here's the vision, here's the thing, and then here's the most likely thing to memorize in order to take a step towards realizing that sort of thing. So I don't see it. I think that I've never said this before, I don't think, but in all that I've done to approach memory training, which is not helping entrepreneurs directly, but I almost teach an entrepreneurial style of learning memory techniques.
Yes.
I often just say, memorize the thing that will improve your life. Not 5 years from now, but like 5 minutes from now, that where you get that, wow, okay, so now I've got new knowledge that I can apply to the world, which I think is ultimately entrepreneurial, even if you're not an entrepreneur in some sense, because you're investing and then you're getting a return on the investment.
Right. I love this. What you said, I want to fly a plane. I want to learn Japanese. I want to do this and this. And this was me to a T. Okay. I want to do all the things. And I think as entrepreneurs, as ambitious people, the people listening to this right now, we're ambitious, right? Look, I've mastered productivity in my life and I teach it. And here's a really powerful distinction for people who are this way. What is productivity? Okay. A lot of people say it's doing more. I say that's incorrect. Okay. Doing more is not being productive. If I go to 15 stores today and go on 15 errand runs, was I productive? Like, what does it mean to be productive? You know, did I move forward in my life and my vision and my goal by doing all these errands, by doing more? No. Being productive is doing the most impactful thing, the priority in your life.
Right.
So in order to be productive, you have to know what you want, right? And here's when you brought up all these things, I want to do this, this, and this. I want to start a business. I want to start a podcast. I want to write a book. I want to fly an airplane, right? All in 1 year. That's not productive. And you're going to crash and burn. You can't do all those things at the same time, right? Warren Buffett, you know, I'm not a big Buffett guy or anything, but one thing he said has impacted my life. He said, for those of you who are super ambitious, write down, and I urge all of you guys listening to do this, pause this after I give the first instruction, is write down your top 25 goals right now. Pause this video, write them out. In business and life, hobbies, things you want to accomplish, top 25. Airplane, Japanese, piano, you know, read 5 books a week, start a business here, you know, whatever, take that trip. And when you're done, once you got 25, circle your top 5 goals of that list. Okay. Now here's the thing. Once you circle your top 5, the 20 that you did not circle are the biggest distractions in your life right now. It's not the phone that's distracting you. It's not the media. I mean, those things are. But it's the 20 things that you want to do that are wasting your time from the top 5 or 3 things that you really need to do right now. Right? It's because you want to meditate. It's because you want to read a book every day. It's because you want to learn Japanese. It's because you want to go exercise every day. It's because you want to start 5 businesses and 5 projects at the same time that you're overwhelmed and you're not accomplishing anything. Right? And I say this from experience because I was doing the same things.
Yeah. Well, for the science fans like myself, this is often called the Zeigarnik effect, which is the more is on your list, the more it's going to interrupt your mind by bringing back the things, the undone things that are on the list. And then, of course, we tend to make the list more complicated instead of simplifying it and just ejecting a lot of stuff. Yes. I was very lucky. I had a professor I was unlucky at the same time because he did terrible things to me. But anyway, he also had this one piece of advice, which is exactly that, which he called it the not now folder. And I never forgot that. So it's just get the idea. That's fine. Put it out into the world, but then put it in the not now folder. And yes. What he said, and I'll never forget it, he said, usually the not now folder becomes the not ever folder.
Yes.
Which is exactly what you want. It's like the fun and useful side of the memory hole in 1984, you know. Yeah. There can be a not ever.
And that's the thing that plagues so many people. I call mine the dump list. I have a list on my computer where I dump my ideas out. By the end of the day or the week, most of them I delete because they're not my priorities and they won't, you know. But I think a lot of us, we have notebooks full of notes. We have tabs open. We have notepads on our, you know, Post-it notes everywhere. We email ourselves notes and things that we want to do, and we overwhelm our mind. And we try to hold all of this in our memory and our urgency. We need to do all this now, but all of that clutter is preventing you from actually being impactful in the things that you really need to do. Right? So if you're starting a business, focus on calling 5, 10, 20 people a day. You don't need to worry about the little tweaks to your website or your tweaks to your script or whatever thing you're worrying about, or all those shiny object ideas of the funnels and the Facebook ads you could do. Like, don't get lost in that stuff. You know what I mean? But I think we all hold on to this. We all want to incorporate the new things we're learning and make notes everywhere, but it really pulls us down. Right? And so I like that. The folder, like, never, you know, don't do that. Do it later or do it never. And the same thing for all the ideas that come to your mind throughout the day. Doesn't mean the ideas are bad, but Stay focused, disciplined on what you need to do.
Mhm. So let's shift gears a little bit, but still on this theme.
Hmm.
I'm really fascinated to hear about the real estate interest. And that obviously just screams memory palace to me in some very practical ways. So I use that as a segue to think of, like, why are you passionate about business? Why are you passionate about entrepreneurialism? And then where do you see this massive accomplishment with going to memory competitions and crushing it at them as part of that mix? Like, are they
Yeah.
mixed as they are in my mind, where I'm like, real estate, business, definitely memory palace adjacent, at least? Like, where do you see it though?
No, I love this question a lot. I started before I got into memory, I started as an entrepreneur. I wanted out of the rat race. I did not want to work for other people. I was not good at it. I did not enjoy it. I dreaded it. Right. And I saw a path for financial freedom for me, for enjoying my time, for doing what I loved, right? All the things that everyone gets into to start a business. I wanted that. I did not want to work for someone else and dread my time. Um, but I crashed and burned in my first 4 or 5 businesses because of the things that I'm talking to you about right now, the wanting to do too many things, procrastinating. I suffered with anxiety. I felt overwhelmed. I tried to do everything. But then I was doing research every day. I wasn't taking action because of all the things I mentioned before. And it was me. I was the reason my business has failed. But then I got into memory. Okay. A crucial time in my life. I got into it as an interest. I picked up Moonwalking with Einstein. Thought, wow, I'm just going to try this out. This sounds too good to be true.
Mm.
Started learning a deck of cards every day. Every day I would go out on a walk and learn a new suit, like put images to those, right? And learn how. By the end of a week, I could memorize a deck of cards, right? So now all of a sudden, I had a goal of, I want to compete at a competition and see and just meet people from all over the world and see what I'm made of under pressure, right? I want to be a grandmaster of memory. That was my goal. And I crashed and burned at that, right? Now here's another distinction. The reason I succeeded in memory was not because I persevered and kept it a vision, but I met the best competitors in the world. They were my mentors. I asked tons of questions. I didn't try to figure everything out on my own.
Right.
And through that process of having mentors and experts on me, modeling what the best in the world did, that helped me hack the curve, right? It wasn't a shortcut, but it was a fast track for me because I basically heard what the best people did and did it. And you can do the same thing in business. And that's where I'm leading this to, is in my ascension in memory to becoming a grandmaster, to becoming a 2-time USA memory champion, I learned how to succeed in one area of my life and a skill. So I applied that to business. The same focus techniques, the same productivity, the same getting a mentor, focusing on one thing at a time, doing the most impactful thing, blocking the distractions, doing it every day consistently and knowing how to do that, following a formula. Because of my success in memory, I became a success in business. And it's no accident. It's really simple, but it's hard, right?
Yeah. Simple ain't easy necessarily, but
No.
yeah. But at the same time, it is easy if you can get your head out of it, right? It's almost all head.
Very much in the head. And that's what paralyzes a lot of entrepreneurs, is they stay up in their head. They have a lot of worries, a lot of staying trapped in your mind. It makes me think of the anxiety I used to feel, right? The paralysis. Like I would literally freeze up before I recorded a course or talk to someone on the phone, or I would stutter, like I would just lock up because I was in my head, right? Memory techniques help me connect more to my heart, connect more to flow, connect more to my gut, and trusting that, and just, of course, not worrying what people say, but it's a process. And it's a process too that I teach people too, that a lot of us are stuck up here. Like we're the reasons why we're not moving forward in our lives, because we're locked up here. We're locked up in worries and not knowing what to do in those moments. or the one time we failed, we're afraid it's going to happen again, right? But if you can get out of here, get into your heart, right? Get out of your head for those listening, get into your heart, get into your gut, and trust that. Trust yourself more. Learn how to build a belief table to not worry what other people think about you. Because that's the biggest thing in the way is people are afraid of what the judgment their families will have on them or other people, or what if they get rejected. And that's really what's in the way, right? But if you learn how to release all of that and be more consistent, right? Release all that emotional residue, all that attention residue, all that overwhelm that you put on your minds, and get out of your head, you can flow more. You can take more inspired action and not worry about those things. And that's what I work on every day with myself and my clients, is tapping into that.
So there's a thing that puzzles me in all that you're saying, in a sense, because and I say this in fun and charity and also curiosity, because I get these emails from you, and meditation really saved my life. It's the thing that I use to stay in my body, because I'm just blessed and cursed to be Mr. Intellectual Noodling all day long, and I can sit here and talk about page 69 of The Snowball with Warren Buffett, where he says, know the deal in advance. Like, I just constantly thoughts, boom, etc. Right. And then I read John Graham email, and it's just like, don't meditate. And your thing. And I'm just like, what is he talking about? What is this? Like, meditation is my jam. Like, it's the thing that I can't. I even did an experiment, and I think it's your fault. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, I thought, well, what would happen if I didn't meditate for a while? And I just completely fell apart. I did a serious experiment too, like a full 4 months of no meditation. And I was just like, okay, I got to talk to John about this, because this isn't working for me. But you have an angle, which is, this meditation thing doesn't work. And, you got, again, like, I don't know what the marketing pay attention to me kind of angle to it is, or if you're serious that meditation is just a broken thing, or what you mean by that.
Let's clarify this, because I love this. I cause a lot of controversy on my emails when I say things like that. Some people you should see the ad I have on Facebook and how riled up people get. But if you understand where I'm coming from, you might see this better. Is I came from, here's me as an early entrepreneur. I listened to podcast after podcast. Tim Ferriss was one of my favorites, and in it, he interviews everyone about their morning routines and their success, right? Because he's interested. He's a really successful guy. They have the coffee, where they have the journaling, where they do the gratitude practice, where they exercise, right? And so me hearing this, that successful people do this, I started doing all these things. So instead of making the calls in my business, instead of doing the things I should have been doing, I was wasting from like 8 a.m. till 11 a.m. meditating, journaling, watching motivational videos, like things that didn't actually help me, right? And so my angle is, look, if you've tried meditation and you just can't be consistent in it, right? Why are you trying to meditate? And if you're like me, I was trying to meditate because I thought that was a solution for me. I thought that would help me discipline my mind to be more focused, to be more successful in business, to have a clear mind when I was working. But in fact, it overwhelmed me, because on top of my to-do list of the 50 things I wanted to do in my business, I was doing 10 things in my morning routine in the morning, right? And so after months or years, I realized meditation was never consistent for me, because what would happen is, if I missed my morning meditation, I felt like a failure. If I only meditated for 15 minutes instead of 30, I was behind. I wasn't successful. So morning after morning, if I didn't check off the journal, the meditation, the gratitude, the workout, the yoga, whatever, the standing on your head, all this stuff. If I didn't do it, I felt unaccomplished and a failure. And then I didn't feel like moving forward in my day.
Right.
And so my angle is, look, you don't need to meditate. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful, right? And apply meditation principles and focus principles to your business. Have a working meditation. Have a focused work right away. You can meditate later. You can meditate if you are right now, but I'm saying like, it didn't work for me because it was cluttering my day. It was adding more to my list. And it felt like a transactional check off the box type of thing than a beneficial practice. And I'm coming from anxiety and I'm coming from overwhelm too, right? And I was anxious and overwhelmed because I wasn't doing the things I needed to be doing. And so my angle is meditation is not for everyone. And I think there's better ways. Like I'm clearly proof that you can focus intensely, immerse in things, and have a clear mind, even if you don't meditate. And so that's controversial, but that's my angle, and I'm sticking to it.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. And it raises lots of interesting issues, actually, because people form images of what other people do in their minds. And as the great psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan said, there are too many words for anybody to ever explain exactly what's going on. So you've got like not only an incomplete picture, but a picture that's insufficient to even be incomplete. It's just, and I like all these entrepreneurs who share their stuff as well, but we're creating pictures that aren't real, and not one amongst them actually does the thing that they explain. It's not possible to even explain it, let alone to be consistent with it. And so we create wrong models. And as they say, the map is not the territory. But in this case, I would say the map isn't even a map, And
well, realize too, all of these successful people on the podcast that are sharing their practices, they're sharing it now. This is what they do now, that they have the time, the freedom, the success, right? But what got them to that point? They probably weren't meditating when they first started their business, right? What were they doing in that between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever, whenever they're working? That's what I want to know. And that's what I work on is teaching, is like, don't worry about the gadgety things they're talking about, because they're at a different level. They're on chapter 27 of success. You're on chapter 4, right? Or wherever you're at. So let's not jump to what they're doing thinking it's the magical recipe. It's not a pill you need. It's not meditation you need, right? It's taking action, very simply, learning how to do that, but also knowing what that action is to get results, right? And so that's where you can very much hack the system. If you're stuck as an entrepreneur, like, what do I do next? Or I'm procrastinating all the time, I have too much to do, this is the solution.
Yeah. And just for people who are listening, I was being a bit silly and fun in introducing your objection to meditation, but you're absolutely right. There are people for whom meditation can and maybe will increase anxiety. And there's even organizations like Cheetah House that have arisen to help people who have negative effects from meditation, because it absolutely is possible. Even myself, I meditated long before I became an entrepreneur, but even when I really started to use memory techniques in my meditation, my initial sort of quote unquote breakthrough where you have ego death, that was so disturbing. I was freaked out. Like it didn't give me anxiety as such, but it was destabilizing to say the least. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things that can happen to people.
Well, it's interesting because I had anxiety because I wasn't meditating consistently, right? Whereas you have these things come up because you're meditating. But I think if you're the type of mindset like me, if you're coming from the school system mentality of check something off to feel good, that has to end if you're an entrepreneur. You can't be transactional. And so if you're just trying to meditate and have a gratitude practice and a morning routine just to check it off the box, that's the wrong way. That's the old way. That's a bad way of doing it, right? And so that's where anxiety comes in, is I wasn't doing what I expected I should be doing, or I thought I should, and it wasn't leading to the results I thought. So when I let go of all that and actually did the most important things in my business, that's when the relief came. That's when I was able to channel and put focus into that and still get the benefits of a clear mind and simplicity and focus and breaks, right? But I was moving forward, right? So very much, I think, a different type of person. I know that meditation just has never worked for me because I came from that transactional type of old way of mindset.
Well, something came up in something I just said that gets into some talking shop about mnemonics, if we can, for a little bit here. So I was just saying, page 69, I think I said in Warren Buffett, or not, it's not Warren Buffett's The Snowball, but a book about him, right? And then I was just thinking, wait a second, was it 69 or was it 61? Because one of the things that is why I probably would never be very successful in memory competition is I changed my images so much. So I'm thinking, okay, so Chet is what I usually use for 61. But then in this one, I have a Japanese jet that has literally the Iron Maiden, made in Japan logo on the jet, and it's Japanese. So that's got to be 69 in the major. So what, but maybe I changed Chet to jet. So maybe it's on 61 and, this sort of thing. So there's a bit of uncertainty. Now, this is more like a long-term memory question, but it still would have to do with competition. How fixed do you need to be with your images, just to start with number images? And do you ever have distortions like that where you have this, well, wait a second, did I change this mnemonic just in that moment and now it might actually be 61 instead of 69? Or are you using your focus powers to really do something I've never been able to do? Like if I switch a mnemonic in the fly, I just do it because that's just the way I roll. Or are you able to just, this is 69, and there's never any variation on this image, and that's 61, and there's never going to be any thing? Or how does it work?
Yeah. No, I love this. I use Major System 2, pre-made images, right? And I would be lying if I said there's no variation. Because the truth is, a week from now, if I memorize Jet, it's going to look and feel differently than when I memorize it today, right? And I might even have a distortion where I have a hiccup in that moment. I forget, wait, I have a confusion with 69 or something. But like you said, in that moment, I roll with it and I improvise if I need to. It doesn't happen much. But, one of the things I like to share is everyone talks about imagery with memory techniques, right? Mental imagery. And the more and more I do it, the more and more I practice memory and I've mastered it. I mean, I hate that word, but I've gotten better at it, way better, is the imagery turns into feel. You see less, you experience more, you feel it, you sense it, right? Yeah. And so every single time I memorize something, I trust that initial feel that I get from it, right? So if I'm in a really excited, energetic mode and I'm thinking of a jet, I might have a completely different feel. Like I just saw Top Gun Maverick, right? And that's in my recent memory. And so I might even see or sense Tom Cruise in my imagery of a jet. But then a month from now, if I'm feeling a little more relaxed, slow, I might see or feel a toy jet or something I used as a kid, right? And it's a feel process. I'm not seeing too much of it, but I'm feeling and sensing what that is. So absolutely does it vary on a day and a case and a moment basis. But I think the key is I'm using whatever comes to me in that moment. I'm not thinking too hard about what it should look like or how it looked like last time. I'm kind of letting my brain just give me something right here as a gift and use it.
Right. Well, I'm so glad I asked because you just triggered a memory I'd forgotten about. My dad made me a little wooden fighter pilot jet when I was a kid. I must have been 5 or 6 or whatever, and he painted it with camouflage and all that sort of stuff. So, but anyways, I'm glad I'm normal, and that's not just a thing that happens to me, and I imagine it happens to a lot of people. But I love what you're saying too about the visual, because this is always a thing. People say I'm not visual, and in some sense, I mean, we'd be here all day if we were always talking about, well, there's a kinesthetic and there's an auditory and there's an emotional aspect and all that. That's why we have courses, right? But I think we do have the wrong shorthand when we talk about images and pictures and visualization, right, and all that sort of stuff. It's really not ideal.
Well, we have no thing to compare to. I don't know what you see or experience versus someone else, but everyone can pick up something, an impression. I think that's a better word to use.
Yeah. Now this raises another thing. Have you been looking at any of the I mean, in some of the memory forums, even private discords and whatnot that I've been invited to, I see these people have entire threads where they're pumping their 00 to 99 PAO. I've done it a bit myself. Like I put 36 is Mike Tyson for the boxing match, and I put him with the Pope, which is 99, and I get a picture from AI that shows Mike Tyson with the Pope, and he's generally visualizing this, and I just thought, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I saw Nelson Dallas posted a video on his
right,
YouTube.
yeah, he just said that.
He did that too, and I had never seen that until just the other day. So,
right.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. In the future, we're gonna have like VR, where you're gonna tap into a headset and have a memory palace where you put in your spreadsheet from school, and it populates all the imagery for you in your virtual memory palace, maybe due to something like that. But and organized, that would be pretty cool.
I don't know, but what do you find are, I don't know how you say it, residual benefits, or friends with benefits or whatever, from being a person who uses your memory to that extent? And then when you're working with a client, like, do you actually use memory techniques when you're working with your clients to facilitate your focus and attention on them and then remembering what they say? Or are you like the Flash, where you sort of only use the power at the last minute when the time comes to perform?
Yeah, I love that question. To be honest, I feel like it's a light switch. Memory is a light switch ability that I have to be aware of it, using it. I'm sure naturally I'm a little bit better than other one for passive memory, but if I really want to use it with someone, I have to turn it on, right? And intentionally use it, right? But what I've learned in memory and focus in the mind, internal distractions, things like that, I'm very much using in my business, in my life, which I think people don't realize. The training we do when we're sitting at a desk focusing on cards or focusing on numbers, it's absurd, right? But that's a working meditation, right? So I guess in essence, I've been meditating my whole life, but not in the sitting in a corner with my eyes closed type of mentality, or focus on my breath, right? I very much learned through memory techniques and training and focusing on that, how to apply sort of a working focus formula for my clients and for myself. So I think that's the benefit of what I've done and discovered, is more sense attention on you, because your memory is going to be so much better if you're focused on one thing, not thinking about the errands or what you're going to say next, and you're present. But two, if you don't have distraction, if you don't, your memory is going to be so much better if you're just purely on them without anything else going on, right? And I think that's a problem these days. People come to me all the time, business owners especially, I'm so scattered, my memory is gone. And I think it's because of stress. That's the other thing I meant to say, is when you're present and you're de-stressed, your memory is really, really sharp without any techniques.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot about anxiety and memory loss, and then there's things that people can do things about that are just completely unrelated, like anxiety created by too much caffeine, or whatever foods they're stuffing into their faces that have a 72-hour digestion cycle, and you have this tsunami like on Wednesday, and you forget that you ate something on Monday, and you don't even know they're related, and then it's just,
well, that amplifies it. Yeah. And I'll say this, anxiety, real quick, is the way I see it, and I've lived in it before, right? I was a prisoner to it for a long time. Froze up, panic attacks, things like that, right? The way I talk about it now, it's a condition. It's not a disease. I don't like to call it an illness either. I think it's a way we've conditioned our minds over time, right? Anxiety is worry about the future, but if you're doing things and thinking about things and seeing things the same way over and over for years, things I talked about with school, with the to-do list, with the expectations, the structure. If you condition that over and over years, that's how you develop anxiety, is the same thought patterns, the same loops, the same patterns of seeing things and thinking about things. So that's where people get stuck, is it's a condition. You're conditioning your mind every day, and you're developing neural pathways that see and focus on the worry instead of focusing on the excitement or what could be the good, right? So we're focused on this all the time, but that's very much how I developed mine, and had to find a way out of it.
So in terms of what you're doing in order to help people, what do you suggest for people to get started with seeking out your experience, your guidance, your wisdom? And, do you also answer questions about memory if they are entrepreneurial focused people who want more focus and also want to, learn a bit about mnemonics?
Well, yeah, let me clarify that, because that's a really, really good question that you just asked. What I do, Anthony, is I do breakthrough calls with entrepreneurs, okay? Entrepreneurs specifically, people who have anxiety, people who procrastinate, people who are feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Like everything that I talked about, if you come from the transactional to-do list, needing a morning routine and just noticing you're not getting anywhere, right? And you just want to really simplify and take action and be focused and powerful, I have a solution for a lot of people, right? But the way I do that is I have to get to know you. I have to know what's working, what's not, to see if you're a fit, see if you're coachable, to see if I can absolutely help. Because my goal is not to get my hand in anyone's wallet, right? So if you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur, or you're wanting to start a business, you have an idea, but you've been thinking about it for years, right? Book a call with me. This call is not for memory tips, okay? We're not going to talk memory. This call is not for free advice or, cool, John, let's talk, or tips, anything like that. This is if you are really, really serious about optimizing your mind for focus, about taking your business to the next level, right? But you can book a call with me at optimizemymind.com/call. And it's a 60-minute call with me. Well, again, we'll talk about what's working, what's not, where you want to be, what's in the way. And you'll just get massive clarity of exactly what is in your way, of the anxiety, of the overwhelm, of the stress, of the lack of focus, and giving you clear next steps towards solving that. Right? It's a really powerful call. But again, no memory tips or techniques or conversations, please. This is solely a business. If you have memory questions too, feel free you can reach out to me at john@memoryjohn.com. But otherwise, this is for entrepreneurs.
Right. Oh, cool. Well, that is, a demonstration of the concept. You're just focused on a particular outcome as opposed to 90 million other things. I mean, I can tell you in my experience, I need to learn and model from what you're doing, because I like to only focus on memory when I'm helping people. And then they say, well, how do you do all this stuff with your website? And how do you write all these books and so forth? And they're just like, well, I mean, I'm not exactly a teacher of all that stuff, but there are people who teach that, and here's who I learned from, etc. But it's that's exactly right. I mean, if you're going to do a thing, focus on that thing that you're doing, and you get so much more out of it. So that's wonderful that you put that very wonderful guideline on it.
Yeah, thank you. And I need, like I said, I need to get to know people, just genuinely care about people, wanting to give them the best direction. Because I've tried all kinds of methods to help people, the free ebooks and the courses and stuff. And what got the best result is this model of finding exactly the people I can help, giving them the absolute solution, the coaching, the mentorship they need to take themselves to that next level. And like what you said, people coming to you, asking you all these questions, we need mentors. We need people who have done what we want to achieve with our minds and our businesses to get to where we want to go. And I think that's what people are asking of you. And I think that's what we need. That's what unlocked me, Anthony, is I got out of my own way stopped trying to dabble, stopped trying on my own, and I sought out experts. That's how I became a memory champion. Remember, I reached out to the best person in words, the best person in cards, the best person in numbers, and I followed that, right? I didn't blaze my own path. I followed what was there and put my head down in it.
But what if you're an entrepreneur who is not really particularly bothered with anxiety or to-do list overwhelm, but they still, want some insight in, say, it's like, it's not that I can't focus, but I have all these options and I need help figuring out which one to choose for the year to come or the next quarter or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. If you're having trouble focusing, if you're having trouble taking action, this is for you as an entrepreneur. Now, I was in denial when I had anxiety, Anthony. I didn't call it anxiety. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
I was completely oblivious to it. It wasn't until years later I realized what this was. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I don't have anxiety, that's another thing. Like maybe you do. And maybe you need a phone call. If you're not focusing and you're shutting down or, you're not clear on what you need. But to answer your question, yeah, some people are stuck on the how part, how to get clients or what decisions they need to do next or the next right move. Absolutely. If you're feeling stuck and something in this call or this interview resonated with you, then yeah, book a call and let's talk. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, excellent. And thanks for sharing your advice and your journey with all of these things. I think what I appreciate about it so much is, and I know because I hear it all the time, these people with their memory techniques, they must have some genetic superpower advantage, or there must be some kind of law, or, the Flynn effect or, some kind of thing. They've always got like a reason why that memory competitors who do well are different than them. And likewise with entrepreneurs, and I can tell you, I wish that I wasn't so smart. I was just telling you before we got on this call, I was like, I can't believe I didn't see the most obvious thing for 10 years, and it's a fault of, well, I think Steven Pinker calls it the curse of expertise in some sense, right? We often just miss all kinds of things. So I just love that you share your journey, the things that you struggled with, and just help people understand that success is human too, and it almost needs more humanness after success in order to keep the main thing, as we sometimes say.
Yeah. No, I love the human aspect of that. We all have the same emotions and human conditions, right? That are in the way, every single one of us, you and I, everyone listening, everyone you look up to, right? But there's no secret sauce other than, I think, committing to something and having a really deep reason why you want to do it and burning the boats to any other option that got people to the success, right? If you're looking at a memory champion, like, oh my gosh, how did you do it? I want to be that. Well, did you give up after a week? Or, did you get frustrated after a week? Because I did. I got frustrated for years, but I kept going because I had a really deep reason for doing it. And I'm not saying it's for everyone, but if you're a business owner, if you want to be a memory champion, whatever it is, hold that vision, be crystal clear on it, be committed to it, be focused on it, drop the other 20 distractions in your life, but realize you're a human too that has fears and doubts and frustrations. You're no different, right? But have a really deep reason why you want that and go for it. Get the mentorship you need, the guidance you need, the coach you need, or whatever you need to get there. And it's possible for anyone listening at any age, right? That's the formula.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate, again, you sharing that, and I can't wait till the next time we have a chance to chat.
I know. Hopefully much, much sooner. We have to stay in touch. Okay.
Well, we will.
Deal.
Cool. Well, thanks again, John. And, just for those of us who aren't tracking every detail, maybe give that link again so people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. optimizemymind.com/call.
Excellent. Great. So thank you again. And yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Anthony.
Well, I want to thank John for being part of the Magnetic Memory Method world, sharing his insights, his knowledge, his passion, his understanding of the memory techniques, what it takes for them to help you help yourself achieve your goals. And off camera, John asked me, he said, when are we going to get you competing again? And I said, you're not. And I said, that's because the things that I never found satisfying in memory competition, I patched into a new game that I created called Memory Detective. And John was pretty excited about joining one of the next games, if not the very next game, for being a celebrity judge. And that's going to be an amazing, amazing thing when that happens. So if you want to make sure that you're notified when the next Memory Detective game goes live, we're going to improve our memory together by solving crimes. You get passive memory training and active memory training, so you actually can benefit even if you're not using memory techniques. And if you've always been sitting on the fence or you still don't understand something about memory techniques, you're going to be with people who do use memory techniques, and you can learn through observation while just getting passive memory exercise. We talk all about what those different levels of exercise are in the program itself when we play the games, so you don't have to worry about that. But just make sure you're part of the Magnetic Memory Method world. Get subscribed if you're watching this on YouTube. Get subscribed at my site if you're not already, because that's where the most notifications go out. There's a free course there for you. It's easy as can be to get involved in this, and just be involved so that you can improve your focus and concentration by being part of a community that devotes itself to precisely that. Being in the moment, using the techniques to crush those higher order goals so you truly can be the architect of your dreams and fantasies. And let me tell you, it's the best feeling in the world. You know that it is, and if anything is standing between you and making that done in your business, make sure to check out John Graham's incredible offer. The ability to be able to spend that time with him to talk about what it is that you're doing and what's holding you back is priceless. So don't delay. He is an amazing, amazing mental and memory athlete, but also an incredibly successful entrepreneur. He shared the stuff that he went through in order to reach that level of accomplishment, and you can learn so much from people who are willing to pull back the kimono, as they say, in that way, and I suggest you do not delay. So I ended with a rhyme. Thank you, as always, for being part of the Magnetic Memory Method world. Until we have a chance to speak again, get out there, do something with that beautiful, wonderful memory of yours, and keep yourself magnetic.